Hello, Courtney. Hello, Reem.
Hello.
Are you both
Hi, I'm doing well.
good?
Yeah, we're good. How are you doing, Christine?
Great, good, great. Gonna give it a few minutes while we wait for a few people. That's always an awkward moment when you're waiting on, all staring at the screen like, ah. But while we wait, guess I would just say for anybody who hops on before we get started that registration for the Detroit Promise is still open. You can go register at DetroitPromise.com. You need to complete that registration. That's a very important part for the follow-up conversation we're about to have in a moment.
hmm
If you are a current senior, get that done. 9th through 11th graders can also register too, and we're also registering K through 8th grade parents. So if you know anyone who falls into those categories, please get them to register for the Detroit Promise so they can stay up to date on what our requirements are and other changes and events and different information that's helpful to students and parents going through the college process. Okay. So we can go ahead and get started and let you all know why you're here today. So today we have two special guests with us from the Samvid Young Leaders Scholarship, and they're here to talk to you all about a great scholarship opportunity for women in Detroit, for women who, people who identify as women in Detroit, to apply for this scholarship. So first we have with us Courtney, who works for Samvid Young, and she'll introduce herself. And then we have Reem also, who is a current Samvid Young scholar. So I'll pass it over to you all to start with those introductions.
Perfect. I can go first. Hi, everyone. My name is Courtney Andeko. I work for Samvid Ventures. We're a family foundation in Detroit that has the Samvid Young Leaders Scholarship. So I work very closely with the scholarship, and I'm excited to be able to chat with you all today about it.
Hi everyone, my name is Reem. I'm one of the Samvid Young Leaders, recipient of the scholarship for the second cohort. I'm a freshman in college, and I went to Frontier International Academy, and I'm currently at the University of Michigan.
Well, thank you for those introductions. So we'll get right into the content. So to start, could you tell us a little bit about the Samvid Young Leaders Scholarship Program?
Yeah, so I'm happy to answer this one. Samvid Young Leaders is a scholarship program, like you said, Christine, for college-bound young women in Detroit. And there's basically three main offerings of the program. The first is the scholarship part, which is an up to $10,000 non-tuition scholarship annually for up to 4 years. And so what we mean by non-tuition scholarship is that these funds can be used for expenses like room and board, books and supplies, and even health costs. The second part of the scholarship program is connected to the funds. And so because you have funds for non-tuition expenses, we also want to help build financial capability. So we have a curriculum for financial capability, and we also do financial coaching as well. And then the third piece of the program is there's actually a cohort model. As Reem said, she's part of the second cohort. And so that's a really important part to have that supportive cohort model. And we want this to ensure that young leaders build a sense of community with their peers as they embark on their college careers.
Thank you for that. Um, so, Reem, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Whatever you want to share, but how you got, how did you even find out about the Samvid Young program? And what high school you went to, and.
Yeah, sure. So Detroit Promise was always something that I was working towards, and so I made sure to sign up for their newsletter, and actually heard about Samvid through the newsletter. And actually, when I originally saw the email, I was like really hesitant because it was such a big scholarship. I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna win this." But when I saved it and I waited on it, and then I started my application, and my school was really supportive of Detroit Promise. So once I got the application in, and it was relatively, I guess the rest is history. From there, it was relatively easy after that.
Very great. So, once you're in the program, what is it like? What is some of your favorite, things that occurred, or were there any challenges?
Yeah, so the program, kind of like what Courtney said, we have like monthly meetings. Um, we get to work with the cohort and specifically with the Samvid team one-on-one every month. Some of my favorite parts have been like meeting amazing other young women from my own city. And because the application process, like specifically picks young women who are really involved in their communities, it felt like all the other young women that were awarded had like the same priorities. We were all very motivated, and they were all very encouraging towards each other. So that was really one of my favorite parts because I got to walk into college with this support system that I didn't have necessarily in the same way. I had six plus girls who were going to the same university, and we kind of had the same goals, which was really nice. For me, wasn't necessarily the most challenging, but with receiving funds comes a lot of responsibility. So learning how to manage it. Again, it wasn't necessarily hard, but it's something they have to constantly be aware of. So those monthly check-ins are really helpful because every month I can say, this was my budget, how did I do? And working on my financial literacy is something that's really important to me. So that was really helpful.
Yeah, that sounds like a great aspect of the program is being able to, have that financial support, literally with the money, but also, through having that coaching. I know I would have appreciated that while I was so that is great. So why should, young women in Detroit apply for this scholarship?
I mean, besides the fact that it's literally free money, that's like the biggest thing, honestly. It's a great opportunity and it makes college expenses so much easier to handle. Like, I didn't realize how expensive college was until I like started applying to different colleges, and it's not just tuition. So those college expenses really start to add up. So besides just the financial aspect of it, again, it's those amazing young women that you're meeting from your own community, from your own city that um, over time hopefully will become really good friends and keep you supported and keep you motivated throughout your education. And also just learning how to use money, which is a skill that I mentioned, super helpful, and it's something that's gonna be a part of your life for the long run.
Great. So, you told us about the great things that come with the program. So if I'm a student, how do I actually apply? How do I get, on the process to getting these funds?
Yeah, so the first thing you should do is visit our website. It's www.samvid.ventures, and specifically go to the Samvid Young Leaders program. And so I think you have the link right there at the bottom of the screen, which is super helpful. So if you go to that link, it'll say apply now really big, and you can click that and start an application that way. And that's the easiest, fastest way to start your application. And then please feel free to reach out if you have any questions during the application process. You can email us at Samvid or sbteam@samvid.ventures, like you see at the bottom of the screen. We're more than happy to answer any of your questions and make sure that it's a smooth application process for you. Or you can actually join us for one of our applicant information sessions. The next one is actually March 3rd at 4:30 p.m. and you can sign up on our website as well. Or go to the Eventbrite link, which we can share that as well. So if you do have any questions, feel free to email us. And if you'd like to chat with me and some of the other SYL team, you can join that info session on March 3rd.
And just to let you know, Courtney, you can drop that information in the comments when the is in the Eventbrite.
Perfect. I will do that.
Okay,
so we heard how to apply. When is the deadline? How much time do students have to get this in?
So we're about 2 weeks. The deadline is about 2 weeks, March 11th. The application is due at midnight. But the most important part, I would say, for students who are just starting the application is getting those letters of recommendation in. I know how long they take. Teachers are always super busy. Advisors are always busy. So if you are planning on applying, that's like the first thing that you should get on is starting the application, but specifically working towards a letter of application so that whoever is writing it for you can get it in on time before the deadline.
Okay. And just to take a moment to let anybody know that's watching, if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments. We will respond to them at the end. or if you share this video with anyone, let them know. If they comment even after the fact, we'll still respond and make sure they get those questions answered. So, what are some tips for prospective applicants? I heard you talk about the letters of recommendation, but what else? What other tips do you have?
I would say start as soon as possible. That's the biggest thing, especially with the deadline approaching. But breaking down the application into like manageable parts, that was the biggest thing for me when applying to scholarships. There's always several different aspects. So maybe focusing on the essays a few days a week, and then the other days getting in the questionnaire. I would also say have someone that you trust look over your application. It makes such a difference. Sometimes when you're working on something, you're just kind of in your head. But having like a trusted teacher or counselor look over your application and make sure that everything that needs to be there is. And then the last thing is just be yourself. Make sure that who you are and what's important to you comes through your essays and comes through your questionnaire, so that when the Samvid team is reading your application, they really feel a strong connection to you. And yeah, those are kind of my top tips.
Great. Thank you for that. Anything else you'd like to add, Courtney?
Not for tips. I think, Reem, those are great tips. I couldn't agree more. So I endorse all of those. But I would like to talk a little bit about eligibility, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So in order to be eligible for the program, you have to be registered for and meet all of the eligibility for the Detroit Promise. But then there's kind of 3 additional pieces that we look for. So the first one is the average GPA of 3.5 or higher, and that's at the time of the application when you submit, as well as upon graduation when you're going to get that next semester GPA. You also have to be eligible for a full or partial Pell Grant. And then also the third thing is identify as a female, as this is a scholarship for young women in Detroit. So those are the kind of extra things on top of Detroit Promise. So once you are eligible for Detroit Promise, you focus on those things. I also want to note that those are the requirements for eligibility to get into the program and to apply. But then we also do have requirements to stay eligible for the program. And those are important to consider to make sure it's the right fit for you when you're applying. And so there's 3 main criteria for eligibility as you continue through the program. The first is program engagement. And so like Reem said, we usually have some sort of monthly engagement, either a workshop or coaching opportunities. And so that's a really important part, just being engaged and attending those opportunities. We also have a GPA requirement of 3.0 or higher each semester. And then we also require that all SYLs do maintain full-time status. We want you all to be on track to graduate in 4 years. So those are kind of the eligibility to get in, as well as the eligibility continued as you go through the program.
Great. Thank you for that, for going over eligibility requirements. So if you all have any questions or didn't get any of that, the eligibility requirements are on their website. So make sure to go check them out there. But for right now, if anyone has any questions, you can drop them in a comment. We'll hang around for a little bit. So yeah, that's all we have for you. So thank you, Courtney and Reem, for joining. That was such important information. Even like the little tidbit about, a lot of scholarships don't talk about the requirements to maintain the scholarship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's important because some students don't realize that their scholarship even has, requirements for maintaining it. So once you get it, definitely have to make sure you maintain that scholarship. You want to keep all the monies.
Yes, we want you to stay eligible. So it's important to kind of put that up front.
Yes. And I will email address back up for anybody who needs it. But that's all we have for you also. I'm going to end this live. Drop any comments that you all have, and we will respond to them or email Samvid Young. Bye.
All right, bye.